I know it can seem really daunting when you have this whole mess of gear laid out in front of you on a table and you're not quite sure how to get it all connected, but fear not, I'm going to walk you through each step of plugging all these different pieces together and making sure that you are ready to record your own songs. Let's jump in. So the first thing that we're going to set up is actually the audio interface and the laptop. So you're going to have some sort of computer that you're working on. In this example, I'm using a simple laptop and I'm using a USB audio interface. So you're going to need that USB cable. You're going to plug that into the back of the audio interface and then plug that into the laptop. And you should be able to see the lights come on the audio interface after you've actually plugged it into the laptop. And then I'm usually going to grab a pair of headphones and plug those into the audio interface and put those on so that as I start getting other things plugged in, I can check to see and make sure that sound's coming through the audio interface. So one of the first things that I like to always set up is the actual microphone, and that's usually what I'm going to be using for my voice, or if there is maybe an acoustic guitar or something along those lines. In this example, I'm using a simple SM57 with a mic cable and XLR cable plugged directly into input 1 on the audio interface. And since the Shure SM57 is not a condenser microphone, it actually doesn't need the 48-volt phantom power. But if you do have a condenser microphone, make sure that you plug everything in and then turn on the 48-volt phantom power. And then you're going to mess with the gain on it, talk into it, sing into it, just to make sure that you're getting a signal coming into the channel that you plugged into. And then usually after that, I'm going to go ahead and set up the guitar or instrument cable. So I'm going to take a 1/4-inch cable and I'm going to plug that into the second input on the audio interface. And on my interface, there is a switch that you can push in when you're using an instrument cable, and that just gives your instrument a little bit of extra gain when it's going into the audio interface, and that'll make it a little bit louder when you start messing with it inside of your DAW. And then I'll go ahead and plug the other end into the guitar and I'll strum it and make sure again that I'm getting signal coming into that second channel. My question for you is, what is the most intimidating piece of home studio gear for you? Leave that in the comment section below. And then after I have those things set up, I'll usually jump on getting the MIDI keyboard set up. So I'm going to take another USB cable, I'm going to plug that into the actual MIDI keyboard, and then I'm going to plug that other end to another open USB port on the laptop. I'm going to make sure that the lights come on that USB keyboard once it's plugged in, and then I'll usually try to play that and look in the DAW to make sure that it's registering that there's MIDI that's coming in. And if you don't have a laptop that has a ton of USB ports, you can actually get a USB hub that you can plug into one port, and then you'll be able to plug in multiple things into that. After that, when you go in your DAW, you just need to make sure that you go into the preferences section wherever you can set up your audio and make sure that you select the correct driver for your audio interface. So most interfaces will automatically come up, and so when you use the drop down menu in the preferences section, you should be able to see something that looks similar to the name of your audio interface. So for me, I'm using a PreSonus Audio Box i2, and so when I go into my preferences section, I usually see something that says Audio Box ASIO or something along those lines that'll tell you that that's the correct driver that you need to select for your audio interface. And then again, test out your MIDI keyboard to make sure that the MIDI is registering. Open up an instrument and try to play it, make sure that there's sound that's coming through. And if there isn't sound that's coming through, then make sure that you check under your MIDI settings to make sure that you have enabled the MIDI keyboard that you're working with. And then from there, really all you have to do is select the inputs for your audio interface when you're recording your vocals, and select the correct audio input for when you are recording your electric guitars or bass or any other 1/4-inch input instrument, and then you should be off to the races to go ahead and start recording your music. If you are just getting started and you are not sure what kind of pieces that you need or want to get for your home studio, then I have some recommendations for you. You can click on the link below to download a guide that'll walk you through the basic equipment that you need to be able to produce music at home in your own home studio. Be sure to check out this next video if you want some tips and tricks on how to record vocals in FL Studio, and I will see you in the next round.